In a world where you could be chosen to do anything, the Lord chose me to make videos spreading the gospel. I'm thankful. Today's requested verse is Isaiah 43, verse 18, and it says, "Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old." Such a simple verse, but crucial to our walks with God. A lot of us will put shackles on us that God didn't mean for us to have. Meaning, we will put ourselves back in the jail that God already freed us from. He already defeated sin. He already defeated death. But so many people hyper-focus on their actions and their righteousness that they lose sight of the grace that God has given us. God knew that we would never be perfect, which is why he gave us grace through his son, Jesus Christ, God in the flesh, who literally was God, lived a perfect life, fully man, fully God, lived a perfect life, fulfilling all the law because he knew we could never do it. That's why it was so much pressure on Jesus to live that perfect life, because if he had folded, it would have showed there was no hope. Because if you think about it, if God in the flesh could not defeat his flesh, how could we ever hope to? And even now, the only hope we have is in Jesus. That's why Jesus says in his word, "I am the truth, the way, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Jesus is saying that there's one way to heaven, which is through him. Through him, specifically his blood, washing us clean and clothing us in his righteousness. Because now God looks at us as righteous because of what Jesus did for us. Specifically his blood being shed for us, because it cost blood for the remission of sins. And we see this in the Bible as the Old Testament, as they're offering sacrifices. What did they always have to offer? They offered to sacrifice the animals, but specifically the blood. Because the blood is what it cost for the remission of sins. Sacrifice was enough to wash us clean forever. That's why he says in Hebrews, I believe it's 10:14, that God has perfected us. It says, by one man's disobedience, sin entered the world. By one man's one man's obedience to the will of God, many are made righteous. That's talking about the saved people. Like, we were made righteous because of our faith in Jesus. When I read this, remember ye not the former things. Don't remember your past life. Don't view yourself as your actions or what you've struggled with in the past. Jesus has set you free from that, and that you are a new creation in Christ. In Romans, it tells us that we are new creations in Christ. This means that we no longer have an identity of sin anymore. We have an identity of grace and of righteousness, and we are free to walk in that every day because God is with us. And if God is for you, who can be against you? But every day we just need to focus on the Lord, because when you take your eyes off the Lord, that's when your circumstances, that's where everything else can distract you. Keep your eyes on the Lord.